Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Kill Team Battle Report. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, coming to you here from Savannah Line Games in Pooler, Georgia, where I'll be fighting a Kill Team arena battle between my Deathwatch and Neil's Tyranids. So the story that we've got going on here is that this facility had been infested with Tyranids, and they had been overrunning the facility and pretty much the entire planet here. So a kill team of Deathwatch were sent in to go purge the alien of this area here and make sure that they held this facility so that they could properly figure out how to prosecute the battle against the Tyranid Hive Fleet as it continued its assault upon this planet. So that's the story that we're going to be doing. We're going to be playing the Hold the Terminals mission here. Essentially what happens is this here is a corridor, this is a corridor, this is a corridor, and then this is a corridor. And at the end of the battle round, you have to, terminal corridors, you need to hold them. You hold them if you have more wounds completely within each of those terminals than your opponent. If you do so, you score 1 point. You can score 3 points if you hold more terminal corridors than your opponent. There are also secondary objectives that will come in, and we'll describe them as they go on. So that is the story. That is the mission. That is the story. That is the mission. Before we go any further, though, let's show you the 2 kill teams that are going to be fighting it out. So for the Deathwatch, my kill team will consist of, from left to right, a Watch Sergeant with a Xeno Phase Blade and a Bolter. We then have a Black Shield with a Power Sword, who will be my Combat Specialist. We have a Veteran Gunner with a Frag Cannon, who will be my Heavy Specialist, and a Veteran with a Bolter, who will be my Comm Specialist, and then 2 regular Veterans with Bolters. And for the Tyranids, from left to right here, we have the Leader, who is a Lictor. We then have a Warrior with a Venom Cannon, who is going to be the Heavy Specialist. We have a Gene Stealer, who is a Combat Specialist. We have a Termagant with a Devourer, who will be the Scout Specialist, and 8 Hormagants. Alright, so going over deployment here, I've got my Comm Specialist, my Heavy Specialist, and a regular Trooper over here. I've got another regular Veteran over here, along with my Leader and my Black Shield Combat Specialist. Going over deployment for the Tyranids, everybody's in the middle here. So we've got the Heavy, we've got his Leader, we've got the Combat Specialist, we've got his Scout Specialist, and a whole bunch of Hormagants all around them over there. So that is it for deployment. We'll now roll off to see who has the initiative going into turn 1. I rolled an 8, my opponent rolled a 6, so we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Deathwatch. Alright, movement phase for the Deathwatch here. This guy moved up and opened up the door for his dude bros to move up after him. This guy back here opened the door for his dude bros up here to advance up over to here. And that is going to be it for movement phase for the Deathwatch here on turn 1. We'll come back to you after movement phase for the Tyranids. Alright, movement phase for the Tyranids here on turn 1. His Combat Specialist walked up over there, and his Hormagant entourage here advanced up behind him. His Lictor walked up to the door here, and a Hormagant advanced up behind him. His Heavy here readied himself, and his 2 Hormagants stayed with him. And over here, his Scout was the one who opened the door to allow them all through here, and the other 2 guys stayed over there. So that is going to be it for the movement phase. We don't have a psychic phase, and I don't believe anyone can see each other for shooting phase. So that is going to be the end of the turn here on turn 1. I do score. I did choose the mission-specific secondary objective, so I do have specialists within a corridor that I control, which gives me a point for that. Did you do the same? Did you take those two? My opponent did the same, and he has the same. So we both are there with our 2 points, or for each have 1 point there for our secondary objective for that one. We also each control 1, 2 corridors there, so we each get 1 point since neither of us controls more corridors than our opponent. So that is going to be it for turn 1 with a whopping score of 2-2. So we'll come back to you after. Well, no, you have to roll now to see who will have the initiative for.
It would be 3-3.
No, 1 second. All right, so now we're going to roll to see who will have initiative going into turn 2. I rolled double 1. My opponent rolled an 11, which is kind of like double 1 except way better. So my opponent will have the initiative. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Tyranids here on turn 2.
Special whammy.
All right, movement phase here for the Tyranids on turn 2. These guys over here, well, he's going to be moving around here once this is cleared out because I do the charges at the end here. He moved up over to that, moved over here and opened the door. These guys kind of stayed where they were. His scout moved up over to here, staying within the corridor. And these guys are moved down over here. He moved up to open up the door and make way for his leader, who is now going to charge into my comm specialist over here. So I will roll Overwatch here. Got 2 shots, hitting on 6. I'm going to be using the Hellfire round, so wounding on 2s. Getting 1 hit, wounding on a 2. That is a wound. Regular save.
It's a 5-inch.
Oh, regular save, because I got 1 wound on the Overwatch.
Save?
Yep. 1 second. All right, so he's got a 5-up save to make. Does not make it, so he's down to 3 wounds here. And now he has a 5-inch charge to make it into my comm specialist there. He will be in.
And he needs.
All right, so now he's going to charge with his Hormigaunt into my 2 guys over here. He needs a 10-inch charge to make it in. I'm not going to spend the CP for point-blank Overwatch just yet. So 10-inch charge. No, does not make it.
But I will move safe for last.
Now the second Hormigaunt is going to charge in over here. He's going to have a 10-inch charge as well. I'm not going to spend it yet. No, does not make it. And now his combat specialist, Gene Stealer, is going to charge into them. He needs an 8-inch charge. I did spend the CP for point-blank Overwatch now for him. So he's going to be coming around here. Here comes his charge distance. He needs an 8-inch charge to get in. Does not make it. Are you going to spend a CP to reroll that? Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. He's got Swift and Deadly, so he gets to reroll his charge distance there into a 5-inch charge. He will not make it. All right, so he did end up moving him into the corridor, so I will fire my Overwatch once he gets through that door over there, hitting on a 6. Not getting either of them. My opponent also spent Metabolic Overdrive on his dude bro over here to move him into there, so he gets 3 bodies into this corridor compared to my 2, so I'll have to do something about that. All right, Deathwatch movement phase. My heavy moved up over here. My regular guy moved up next to him. He is locked in combat over here. My sergeant readied himself. He moved into position so he could see that front guy up there. And then my my black shield here is going to charge into that guy. So here we go. Looking for like a 3-inch charge, and he's in. All right, so now my sergeant over here is going to shoot, since he's readied, into his combat specialist. I have 2 shots here because he's in half range rapid fire. Going to be hitting on 3s because he's not obscured. Both hits. Wounding on 2s because of Hellfire rounds. That is going to be 2 wounds. One of them with Phil Fairs. So that's going to be 2 5-up saves. No, fails them. So let's see if he is out of action. Ooh, yeah, see if he's out of action here. On a 4, he is. All right, so now into the regular shooting phase. And my opponent's heavy is going to fire first. He's going to spend 1 CP for the more bullet stratagem to allow him to get +1 shot. He is going to be firing into, who are you going to fire? Just into my heavy specialist over here. So he's going to have D3 +1. So it's going to be 2 +1. He's going to have 3 shots here. These are going to be hitting on 5s, right? Because +1 since he's obscured over here. 1 second. All right, so yes, he is going to be hitting on 5s because he is obscured over here. So 3 shots hitting on 5s. No hits. All right, so now my heavy is going to fire into his heavy. I'm going to fire the frag version here. So it's going to be 2d6 auto hits. So it's going to be 6 auto hits here. These are going to be strength 6. He's toughness 4. Wounding on 3s. All right, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3 at AP -1. So it's going to be 3 4-ups. Does he have? What's his armor save? 1 second. All right, so we've got 3 5-up saves. Makes 1 of them, so he is down to 1 wound. And then my other guy over here is going to fire into him because this other guy that has a gun cannot see anyone. So he's going to fire 2 shots, rapid fire range, hitting on a 3. That's 2 hits. Wounding on a 2s because of Hellfire rounds. That is 2 wounds. That is going to be 2 4-up saves. No, fail them. So let's see if he is out of action. On a 6, he is out of action. All right, so into the fight phase, his Lictor is going to start by attacking into my dude bro over here. So he's going to have 3 attacks, hitting on 2s. That is going to be 2 hits. These are now going to be strength 6, so wounding on 3s. That is going to be 1 wound. AP minus... Oh, 1 second. All right, my opponent's going to spend a CP to re-roll that wound there. Looking for a 3. No, does not happen. So it's going to be AP -1. He was using the grasping talons, right? So these are going to be looking for a 4-up save. Show me that 4-up. He's good with a 4-up. Woo! All right, so now my combat specialist is going to attack into his dude bro there. So I'm going to have 4 attacks. These are going to be hitting on 3s because he's 4 attacks because he's my combat specialist, hitting on 3s. That is going to be 3 hits. Strength 4, toughness 3, looking for 3s to wound. That is going to be 2 wounds. These are AP -3, so go straight through his armor save. So let's see if he is out of action. On a 3, he's not. I'm going to spend a CP to re-roll this. And on a 4, he's out of action.
I hope so.
And then my veteran's going to attack into him. He's got 2 attacks hitting on 3s. That is 1 hit. Wounding on a tough 4, right? So looking for a 4 to wound. No wound. All right, so that is the end of the turn here. We both score, have 2 corridors controlled because I've got 2 wounds worth here. He's only got the 1. I've got this one because I got the 1. He's got this one because he's the only ones in this one. He's got the only ones. We both also score 1 point because we each have specialists for our secondary objectives there in corridors that we control. Which gives us points, 2 points for that. I also scored 2 points because I took high-profile targets, which gives me a victory point each time I take out a specialist other than the leader. And then I also scored an objective for attrition. If more enemy units were taken off as casualties in a battle round than friendly models. So he lost 3, I lost 0, so that gives me the point there. So I managed to score a total of 5 points this round. My opponent scored just his 2 points for that round, leaving my opponent at 4 points, leaving me at 7 points. So we will now roll to see who has initiative going into turn 3. I rolled a double 6s, so I will be going first. All right, movement phase for the Deathwatch here on turn 3. This guy moved up over here. My heavy specialist readied himself. This guy fell out of combat with his leader over here. My leader readied himself. This guy readied himself, and my combat specialist is now going to charge into both of these guys over here. So, looking for... yeah, over here, the 7-inch charge will get him in. All right, movement phase for the Tyranids here on turn 3. This guy, his leader stayed still because otherwise he would have had to fall back. These 2 guys moved back here. He also moved down from around there. His scout moved back over to here. This guy stayed where he was. These guys are locked in combat. And now this guy here is going to try to charge into my dude bro here. He needs 5-inch charge. He is way in. All right, so into the shooting phase. My heavy is going to use his Fragstorm Cannon into his leader over there. So it's 2d6 auto hits. That is going to be 4 hits. All right, so these are going to be strength 6, looking for 3s to wound. That is going to be 2 wounds. That's going to be 2 wounds. So these are going to be, I'm going to re-roll, spend a command point to re-roll one of those. Nope, not meant to be. So that is going to be 2 wounds at AP -1. So it's going to be 2 6-up saves. No, failed both of them, down to 1 wound. And now my leader is going to fire into him. He's going to use the 2-up to wound Hellfire rounds. I'm going to be hitting on 4s though, because he's -1 to hit with Chameleonic Skin. No. All right, so now his lictor is going to fire into my leader over here with his flesh hooks. He's going to be -1 to hit because of range here. So this is going to be 2 shots hitting on 5s. No hits. Opponent's going to spend 1 command point to reroll one of those. No hit. All right, so now we are going to put, my guy here is going to put 3 attacks into his dude bro over here, and he's going to put 1 attack into the guy who charged. So we're going to do the 3 attacks into the 1 guy over there. These are going to be hitting on 3s. That is going to be 3 hits, wounding on 3s. That is going to be 1 wound, but that does go through since it's AP -3. So is he out of action? On a 6, he is. And then the 1 attack into his dude bro over there. That is a hit. That is a wound. And that is an out of action. All right, now his dude bro over here gets to attack back into me. He is going to have 2 attacks here with his with the Scything Talons. These are going to be hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s. Re-roll that 1. Nope, not meant to be there, so that's 1 hit. Strength 3, so looking for a 5 to wound. No wound. All right, so that is the end of turn 3. My opponent is not broken yet. He lost quite a few, but he's not broken yet. Doesn't have to test for break either. So we've got no morale phase here, but at the end of the turn, we each control 2 corridors because I've got my 1 guy here controlling this one, even though he's out. He controls this one. He controls this one. They control this one, and they control this one. We both score 1 for the the mission-specific secondary that we both took by having specialists inside corridors that we control. So we scored 2 points for that. I also scored a point for attrition since I killed 2 of his guys, and he killed 0 of my guys, getting me 3 victory points for this turn, and my opponent 2 victory points. So that is going to be the end of turn 3. So now we will roll to see who has the initiative going into the 4th and final round. I rolled a 9. My opponent rolled a 7. So we'll come back to you after. The movement phase for the Deathwatch. All right, movement phase for the Deathwatch here on turn 4. This guy moved up over here, looking on these guys. He readied himself back over here. He moved up over there, as well as the sergeant moved up and the leader into the middle over there, looking on those guys. He fell back out of combat here, right at the edge there, so he's fully within the corridor, and he readied himself back there in that corridor. So that is going to be it for the movement phase for the Deathwatch. We'll come back to you after movement phase for the Tyranids here on turn 4. All right, movement phase. His scout moved up slightly here so he can get line of sight over here and over here if he needs to. And that's the only base movement that he's going to do. Now we're going to have a couple charges that we're going to do. So what do you want to start with first?
I want to do this one.
This guy is now going to charge into my my combat specialist over here. So he's going to need an 8-inch charge to get in there. So I cannot overwatch because I fell back, so I cannot react. So here goes. He needs
swift. He's not swift and deadly, so he can't reroll a charge. He can only reroll advance.
Oh, he can only reroll advances, so he doesn't get to reroll his charge here. So we need an 8-inch charge on this. Does not make it. You're going to spend a CP to reroll that.
Yep.
So looking for an 8, and does not make it. This guy over here is going to charge into him. Needs a 4-inch charge to get in. He is in. Now the front guy here is going to charge into just my sergeant. He is going to overwatch, looking for 6s. That is getting 1 hit, wounding on a 2. That is a wound. AP nothing, so it's going to be a 6-up save. No. So is he out of action? On a 3, he's not. I'm going to spend a command point to reroll that. Into a 4, he is. And now this guy's going to charge into him. I'm going to overwatch. Getting 1 hit, wounding on a 2. That is a wound. 6-up save. No. Is he out of action? On a 4, he is. Wow. And now this guy back here is going to charge into my dude bro here, overwatching. No hits that time. His charge just needs a 6-inch charge. Oh, he is not in. All right, so that's it for the movement phase. Into the shooting phase, my dude bro here is going to fire into his lictor. I've got 2 shots because he's within rapid fire range. Not obscured, but he does have chameleonic skin, so 2 shots hitting on 4s. That is going to be 2 hits. These are going to be wounding on 2s. That is going to be 2 wounds, so he has 2 5-up saves. Because AP nothing.
Yeah, AP nothing.
Fails them both, so he is going to be reroll doesn't make a difference on that one. So here we go, looking see if he is out of action. I'm going to spend a command point to reroll that since it's a different phase. And on a 1, he still takes a flesh wound. Yes. All right, so my heavy specialist here, he's just out of range of double shot for him over here, so he is going to be -1 to hit because of being obscured, -1 to hit because of chameleonic skin. I'm going to spend 1 CP to give for the more bullets heavy specialism to give 3 shots now with this. My comm specialist gives him +1 to hit there, so it's going to be 3 shots hitting on 4s, getting 1 hit. Because he's within half range of this weapon, it's strength 9, AP -3. Is his toughness 4, right? Toughness 4, so looking for a 2 to wound. Oh! Oh, and I already spent my reroll in this phase. That one hurts right in the feels. All right, so now into the regular shooting, not the readied guys. We're going to start with my guy here is going to fire into his dude bro over here. So I'm going to have 2 shots hitting on 4s because he's obscured. That is going to be 1 hit, wounding on a 2 because of Hellfire rounds. That is Inception, a wound. So now he has a regular 6-up save.
What?
No, goes through. Is he out of action? On a fill face he is. And then my guy here is going to shoot into him because he has no more, nothing that can shoot. So these are going to have 2 shots hitting on 3s. Getting 1 hit. Wounding on a 2 because of specialist ammunition. That is a wound. Regular save onto your Hormigaunt over there.
3.
No. He's going to spend a command point to re-roll that.
Because why not?
Here we go.
It's the end of the game.
No, doesn't make it. Is he out of action? On a 3, no. He just takes the a wound.
I need.
All right, so now into the fight phase. This dude bro gets to start over here, so he's gonna have 2 attacks, hitting on 4s. That is 1 hit.
Burn it.
Gonna spend a command point to reroll that.
4, 5.
Not a hit there, so it's gonna be 1 hit. Looking for a 5 to wound. No wound. And I've got 4 attacks back into him because I'm combat specialist. Hitting on 3s, that's all hits. Wounding on 3s. That is going to be 2 wounds. That's going to go through his armor. Is he out of action? 1, he will not. All right, and that is it for the turn here. And that is the end of the game. At the end of the game, we put up the scores. We each scored 4 points from the primary because we each controlled 2 corridors each turn. He controlled these 2 for the first 3 turns. I controlled these 2 for the first 3 turns. On this 4th turn, I ended up taking this one by clearing his guys out of here. He controls this one because I've got 1 guy with 1 wound characteristic. He's got 1 guy with 4 wound characteristic. So he gains the benefit of having him there. So we just switched the middle one here on this last turn here. We both also scored all 3 points for the secondary card called, what is it? It's Vent Reactor, which is the secondary objective that is specific to this mission. So we both got 3 points for that, putting us both at 7 points. My opponent did score Proximity Alert this turn, giving him, because he had these guys within 2 inches of my guy there, giving him 1 point, putting him at 8 points. I then scored 3 points total for high profile targets since I killed all 3 of his specialists. And I got 3 points for attrition since the last 3 turns I killed more models removed from him than were from me, putting me at a total of 13 points. So it was 13 to 8 here, a victory for the Deathwatch. A ton of fun, really awesome and really fun just seeing how things worked out, like trying to position yourselves. Like he just basically did nothing the entire game, but I needed him to score me that point the entire game. And when you've got 5 models on their team, it becomes a big deal, like trying to figure, or 6 models on your team, it really becomes a big deal trying to figure out who's going to do what to try to get you points and get where you needed to. So, but a ton of fun and a blast, and just these Overwatches here where that was brutal. That ended up being pretty brutal over there. But a ton of fun and a great game. I really love Arena. It's just fast and fun and tactical and a great time. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil the Glacial Geek as always. My opponent has been Neil, and until next time, have fun.